Yo, you already know what it is. Coming to you live from the Northwest. It's Tri-Town Tory, a.k.a. Tory Northwest. And today I got a real special guest. His name is Legz. Legz, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, bro. How you been, man? It's been some time, ain't it?
It's been some years, man. I'm going to tell you what. But life's been good. Everything's on the up and up. And I see the same things going for you. Things are going great. I've been following you on TikTok. We definitely want to get into that. That's an amazing space for you. I've been watching the content, and also, man, I've just been listening to the old albums, trying to get caught up. Your first record that you have on Apple Music, was that your debut, the 2018, The Reflective Pain?
Yeah, The Reflective Pain. That was the first album I dropped.
That right there is one of my favorite records because it's got some standout tracks. I mean, it starts off very hardcore with the M Status collab.
Yep.
Digital Girl, Lullaby. What was that?
Lullaby Lover.
Those are my 1-2 punches right there. And then I also love the collab that we did with the Electric, man. But before we get into the discography and all these good things, man, I just want to say a couple things real quick. I want to get a couple things off my chest.
Hit me.
I just dropped a new album called When We Were Kids. It was on March 28th that I dropped it. Then I also dropped a music video called Get Rich or Die Trying, and I also dropped a music video called Shorty Bed. So if you get an opportunity to go check it out on YouTube, and also go check the album out on Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you listen to your hits. And now back to my man Legz, man. I'm gonna tell you what, I got introduced to you as a break dancer.
Yep.
All right, can you give me the origins, man? Take us back to when music first got into your life, when you started moving a certain way and it started locking, like you started showing your talent as far as your ability to give me the whole rundown, man.
Got you.
Break it down.
So for anybody who's ever been around, I mean, really just around in Yakima, that's where I'm from, local from Yakima. Let me throw that out there to you.
Yakima.
I was known as Crazy Legz. Actually, when you and I met, I was going by Crazy Legz. I mean, bro, breakdancing was the first step that I ever took to get into any type of music.
Yep.
My uncle was the one who introduced me to it, and then everything else after that was all me. I've been a dancer since I was 9. I'm 34 now. I'm old, bro.
I can't believe it, bro.
I know.
You still look like you're in your early 20s, man. That's wild. The good genes right there.
Oh, bro, great genes. They still fit too. We're big chilling there. But
that's right.
12 years old, I learned how to write. I mean, I learned how to write poetically. You know what I'm saying? I was 6th grade. Love struck hard on my sleeve, little kid, wanted to send writing poems to his girlfriend. That was me. Yeah. That's how I was. Honestly, the very first time I ever wrote something that I felt resonated heavy with me was when I kid you not, it's kind of tough. This is reliving it too. When I wrote a girlfriend a letter, or like a poem. Okay. She wasn't even a girlfriend yet, cause she was just.
You were plotting on her.
I was plotting, yeah.
Okay.
She was the prospect at 12 years old.
Shout out to her.
No, not shout out to her. But shout out to her because she inspired me. But she laughed. Woo, she laughed at it, bro.
Yeah?
Man, it broke my heart.
But maybe she was nervous. You know how sometimes people laugh when they're nervous?
The rest of her friends laugh too.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, there's that age, man. That age it's a tough one.
That's true. But I mean, after that, I approached her a little bit later, like, how'd you like it? And she kind of gave me the cold shoulder. So just broke my little heart and all that stuff. But I started, I won't lie to you, that kind of triggered me to write something sad. But not necessarily just sad. It was more, it's just deep. It was just touching somewhere that I never really touched. And then my pops, I reached out to him about it because he was locked up all of most of my life. And he told me he liked it. That what I was doing was good. It sounded nice too. It's just as I got older, I'm gonna grow. It's basically how you kind of, for a kid, you're gonna buy him some shoes that's like half a size up to a size up, so you don't have to buy another pair so soon. He's like, you're gonna grow into your own, into your own emotions, into your own writing, and your own everything. And I did. But dancing was the priority. But I know for a fact I got my creative and my poeticness. I got that from my mother.
Okay.
My mom's gets down with the words. So I kind of just carried everything on through dancing. I still wrote. I still enjoyed it. I always wanted to learn how to do music.
Yeah.
How to get into it, but it was never that. I took one little trimester of choir in 6th grade.
That's all the raw
That's
skills,
it. That's where it took place. And so just never really thought of it. I started hosting events, dances, and performances just here locally and helping my friends. And that's where M Status and I came into play. That's where he's one of my best friends, bro. And
okay, shout out to M Status.
Big shouts out to my boy Stats. Well, I didn't really approach him in that sense of like, hey, teach me. It was just more like I watched from afar. And a big shout out to my boy Dre. He was the first person who ever took me to a recording studio, ever. And he took me to my homie Curse's studio, which rest in peace, my boy Curse. And I kind of saw R.I.P. Yeah, man. And I kind of saw as it was happening, I was like, oh, that's cool. And that inspired me. I was like, let me write something real quick. And it's all lovey-dovey. That's really all I know.
Yeah.
And I give it to him, and I was like, hey, Dre, check this out. What you think? And he crapped on me hard.
Yeah.
He made fun of me. I was like, man, you could just say no, but whatever. And that next day he hits me. He was like, man, whatever you wrote made me want to write something. Come by the studio, and we're going to put you in front of a mic. And it was born then, right at that very moment, man. I was 19 years old.
Let me ask you something. Where does this confidence come from?
I don't know.
It's so enormous, man. It's like a lion confidence that you have.
Man, appreciate that.
Ever since a youngin'.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. When you figured out how to put the pieces together, what was the moment where you're like, I'm gonna start showing people like right away? Like, was there a performance? Was there some like a talent show? Was there anything like that?
Yeah, there was. Definitely was. Let's
get it.
So the confidence is just, I don't know, man. I just learned that being afraid of something's you're never gonna go anywhere if you're afraid. Yeah. You know, fear blocks all blessings.
Yeah, the mental cages.
Yeah, 100%. And if you allow yourself to stay there, that's a choice. And I'll get to that later. But I was in high school, freshman year, bro. Freshman year, I'm not that much taller than I was in high school. I stopped growing pretty early in life. So it was freshman year. I was dancing Eisenhower. I was dancing in our small theater room. And I was just gigging, bro. Teacher really did just let us do whatever we wanted. It was a drama class. And so, because, you know, everybody kind of just, they went there, even if they're not supposed to be there. They went there. So I got approached by one of my boys, and he was just like, hey, here's this slip. Present it to me tomorrow at our pep assembly. Yeah. And it was Ike and Davis, you know, rivals. So I was like, all right, it's a big assembly, and everybody's always hyped.
Those two schools, too.
Oh, bro.
That's big.
Back early, it was, I want to say 04. 04? Yeah. So rivalries were super thick. Eisenhower was always on top, and then Davis was always on top. So it was always up and down, which is cool. And I chose not to go to Davis. I wanted to go to Ike.
No, for sure.
I had my family there too.
Oh, there you go. Is it like a crosstown rivalry thing?
Hell yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Oh yeah. Woo, man. And at some point, you kind of you have to pick. Like when you're in middle school, they tell you have to pick. And you kind of have no choice. And then my cousins are all at Ike. My cousin Nino, who's also a dancer, still can get down. He's in our big age. We're just careful. That's all it is. But he was there, so I was like, I'm definitely gonna go there. My sister went there. I was like, bet, appreciate it. Well, I got approached that same as we got into the assembly. They were looking for me, and he was like, just be ready. And at the time, I had no idea what it was. No clue. It was a school dance-off from all the classes, you know, freshman through senior. I was like, what the hell? I was like, all right, cool. I've never performed in front of people like that. Never. And seniors go and the juniors go, and I could see that they were just clowning. They were having fun. It wasn't anything serious, but sophomore weren't. Sure. Sophomore, my boy Roman, he got down. I was like, oh, damn. I like battled like that. I was like, I battled before, and this ain't it. And at the time, Run It by Chris Brown had just came out, bro.
Oh, so are we talking the dance era with the movies like Step Up and all that?
Oh, just before Step Up? Oof. Maybe just a little bit. You Got Served era, bro.
You Got Served. Yep. There we go.
And as soon as it was the freshman's time to go, boom, Chris Brown's Run It comes on, and that was my favorite song at the time, bro.
Damn.
I tore it the hell up. I surprised myself.
Did you freestyle your routine, or was it something you put together?
Nah, hell no, it's all freestyle.
Okay.
Everything was always off the top of my head. With dancing, the cool thing is you don't need to think, and that's
you just feel it.
You feel it, yeah. It's a quote actually from Michael Jackson. He was just like, when I'm dancing, I'm not thinking of what's gonna go next, even if it's choreographed. Sometimes that's why you see some out of place, and you're like, ooh, that was cool. It caught your eye. It's the imaginativeness of dancing, bro. Mm-hmm. It translates into freestyling. So if you're gonna get down, you're gonna do something that probably wasn't supposed to be done, but it's gonna get done.
Yeah.
From there, that was the first performance. We won. The freshmen won. The whole school lost their minds,
Crazy.
Bro. That was the first time I was ever in public, really, really doing that.
You experienced that popularity?
Woo! Woo! It happened. It sure did. Malik Weary, M Status's brother, is actually in the live.
There we go.
Sheesh, my boy.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to my boy. So after all that, I was like, okay, all right, cool. That was the first and only time I'll ever perform, and then it kind of just like snowballed from there. Mm-hmm. Like the more and more comfortable I got with dancing, the more comfortable I got with being in front of people. Mm-hmm. And the whole popularity thing that kicked off too. It was lasted a really long time. People knew who I was, and I feel like I won't lie. I feel like I kind of won in that sense.
Yeah.
Because I pulled that popularity into music.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had a support group. I had people who were vibing with what I was doing. So bringing it over into music, people were like, yes, exactly. That makes sense.
Have you done that? Have you moved your audience from one space to the next? And then so TikTok is basically the collection of all your fan bases.
Everything. Yeah. Okay. That's been the cool thing with it too. TikTok's been very helpful. Mm-hmm. It's helped me push music. It's helped me meet artists that I've never even knew existed. But TikTok was more later, kind of just way later. Everything else, of course, was, you will know, MySpace and Facebook.
Yeah. When did you get on TikTok? Was it 2022?
2020. During the lockdowns.
Okay.
During the lockdowns. What up, Val?
We're definitely going to talk about the pandemic era too. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, the pandemic era, that was heavy. But yeah, being able to move everything over into a whole different platform was cool. It was different, but everything else popped off on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Facebook, that's where I met new artists, I met old artists. That's where I met you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like doing stuff, doing events, and being able to market with everybody and just work with talent that was beyond my physical reach, that weren't in my own local area. I never even thought to look out here. Never once. And some of my favorite artists are now out here. You're one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And some of the best people I ever worked with are out here. So it helped. It definitely helped.
It's amazing to see how both cities have evolved. When I'm talking primarily about like the Yakima music scene, right? And then the Tri-Cities music scene. I would happen to say that Yakima has a leg up right now because they have some people who are tapping into the internet and they're starting getting closer to like millions of plays and things of that nature. More on the gangster side of things. Shout out to them, you know. I personally never really pushed violence in my music because I think that, a certain way you can't really put negativity out there and expect to get positive results from that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So shout out to them. But in the Tri-Cities, what I've noticed is there's a counterculture that's starting to uprise. It's pretty, thuggish, ruggish in its sense too. And my counterbalance to that is to show the people out here that you can make a career for yourself out of just being lyrical or just being poetic. Yeah. And spreading those artistic values to the youth, because those are the ones who are listening. The kids are really listening. But to bring it right back to Yakima and the Valley and the breakdancing scene and how the breakdancing scene really led you into like bringing the artist profile that you have.
Right.
The name, Crazy Legz.
Yep.
Was that given to you? Or was there a reputation behind it? What's the origin of the name and what's the evolution of what it is now?
Crazy Legz is one of the originators of the Rocksteady crew.
Yep.
Crazy Legz, but with an S.
That's true.
It was how he moved. But what ended up happening was my uncle showed me the old breaking movies.
Ooh.
The old
Beat
school
Street.
Beat Street.
Breaking
1 and 2.
1 and
Thank
2.
you. Everything, bro. He introduced me to it, and just we watched Yeah, thank you. We watched Breaking 1 and 2, right? And Electric Boogaloo was the best because seeing Turbo windmill on the ceiling was next level. Well, then we watched Beat Street a couple months later, and he had told me, he was like, oh yeah, look, that guy. Yeah. He pointed at Crazy Legs, the way he was moving. He goes, that's how you move. And he goes, you know, that's what we're gonna call you.
He Crazy. Anointed you.
He anointed me.
All
hey,
right.
There it is. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, but that's biting. You know, I'm learning terms. You know, I'm watching B-boy movies. I'm watching everything, bro. And I was like, that's biting though. And he goes, we'll put it on a Z. We'll put a Z at the end.
Boom.
I was like, all right, cool. Well, cool part to that. Oh man, I think I was like 18. What's up, y'all? I think I was like 18, maybe. I reached out to the real Crazy Legs, because you know, MySpace, you knew when you were talking to the real person.
Yeah.
I reached out to him, and I reached out to Shabadoo, who played Ozone in the Breaking movies.
Ozone.
I got communicated to them.
No way.
On everything, bro. And it was one of the coolest moments. I screenshotted it. Not screenshot, but it was like when you can click the whole screen on a computer.
Yeah.
I did that. And I was just like, hey, I just want you to know, you know, I'm on the come up. I was heavy feeling myself. I was like, but your name isn't just a name to me. I was like, I grew up watching you, you know, as the internet became more and more accessible. I found your old videos, the old commercials, the old BC1 battles, the old Red Bull competitions that you were in. And like, I feel like I move the way you move. And I just want to show my respect to that. And he responded, and he was just like, it's always love. Keep it alive. Boom. And that's all I needed to be like, all right, cool.
What a cool guy.
Great guy. I mean, it had to have been one of like the top 5 moments in.
Oh, of course.
In my life, you know.
Of course.
So that's where that was. I like that too. He anointed me.
Yeah. Those brushes with fame. You know, or people who have broken through to the other side, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't like the word fame because there's just a lot of negative connotations with it.
Right.
But just the superstardom that naturally comes from doing what you love and doing it very well and efficiently. There's like a starstruckness that happens. You know, I have my brushes with the people who I've been influenced before. I was even finessed for a verse by one of my heroes. So it shows you that, you know, it's not all peaches and cream on the other side of fame.
I know the feeling.
I forgave him, but that guy who did it, but you know, I still might have a couple bars for him later on down the road.
Maybe one or two.
Might have to cook his weave up a little bit later.
Just a little bit. Actually, I had the same thing happen to me, bro, and I was like, damn. And in the R&B world, it stings because you're like, damn. I looked up to you, man.
Damn.
Like, you did that to me.
Would you want to say who it was?
There's 2 people actually, bro. And I mean, exclusives. Yeah. I mean, I gotta understand the validity, and this was the first one was years ago.
Yeah.
Most recent one was off of my song First Touch.
Okay.
Just off of not this last album, but the one prior.
All
Someone
right.
said, don't forget to mention Val. Oh shit. All right, what's up, Val? Come on now, you know it's love. The first one, it was Paula Deanda.
No.
Yeah, man.
Bro, stop.
On everything.
Jeez.
On everything.
What?
It was a song. Honestly, bro, I have it in the, because you know we got the archives.
Yeah.
I got it in the vault, and I was like, I'm gonna do something with this, and I tried. I really did. And people are like, it was for a time then. It doesn't make sense, but what you're doing, like, out of respect. Me and Status had a whole talk, and the person I put on it, she was a phenomenal artist I met on TikTok, but she was on her Christian music side of things, and this song was not that. And I was like, out of respect, we're gonna leave it there. But I paid the feature request that I was told to pay, and then apparently she wanted more and stuff. I was like, nah, man, we stick by the original agreement. What do you mean?
Damn.
So it never happened. But it was cool. I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. The most recent one, I mean, I ain't got no sour feelings because I feel it was supposed to happen.
Chalk it up to the game.
Got to. It's for my song First Touch. It was with Brown Boy.
Brown Boy. Interesting. I just heard his song yesterday. For the you know, the big song that he had. So that's wild. Okay.
Yeah, bro.
What's behind that?
I mean, I came into contact with who plugged us together. I was like, it's a very simple verse off of First Touch. This is the concept. You know, I need it. Boom. What can we do? And it was like laid back on it the whole time. Like I only knew so much from what I was being told, and I can't count the validity here. I can't be like, oh, you're being real, you're fronting, but you know when you get the vibe.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Forget it. you know, keep the money. You know, I'm not even sweating it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And I ended up just writing a whole second verse with my people on TikTok. Like,
there you go.
On Apple Music or wherever you can see the artist and who wrote it, you'll see like 6 or 7 names.
So all your supporters know about these stories already.
Oh, bro, I'm very to a certain degree, and I learned this, and it's unfortunate. To a certain degree, I'm like, here's my life, here's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I'm very face forward with them, and I love these people. Like, these are some of my really good friends that I pray. Some I've even met. My friend Joanna that I met on here, I got to sing at her wedding. You know.
Wow. Okay.
My song "Since I Met You," that is my wedding song, and my friend. I mean, all of them. I got to meet most of them, and I still plan on meeting the rest of them. You know, it became more than just, like, I'm sure when you're scrolling through social media, you see these people live, and you're like, but
you ever thought about doing an event to invite people from all of your followings to pull up?
That'd be cool. I want to. I have been out of the hosting my own event kind of thing since years now. I did get approached recently for something that's kind of in the works where it probably can work, but it's soon. And I'm like, I may not be able to do that, but we'll see. So, but yeah, with the whole music thing, I feel you.
No, definitely.
Do you feel like sharing who it was supposed to be?
What was that?
Who the artist was supposed to work with you? They ended up not working with you?
Oh yeah, for sure. His name's Freck Billionaire. Yeah, he was Street Family, Fabulous, signed with Mayweather. Yeah, the guy. Okay, so check this out. He quoted my lyrics on Twitter because he heard my song 1999.
Yeah.
And there was a line that I had about we manning up like Peyton Manning's house.
Yeah.
Like, and he quoted the shit, sent it to me. I got my screenshots. See what have we? And he's like, boy, you're going crazy in the Northwest. And he's like, what's your budget? And I said, well, you know, I'm working a 9 to 5 right now, and I'm saving up some bread. I got a little something, you know. Would you be willing to work with me?
Right.
And then he's like, yeah, hit my DM. So we started talking to the DMs, and then it didn't go through that time.
Right.
But I felt good about it. I was like, okay, you know, the next time they comes around, I'm gonna drop a little bit more bread or whatever.
Yeah, made the connection.
Yeah, and then he came back around quoting more fucking lyrics, and I was like, okay, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Because this is like 2010, 2000. No, this is like 2000. When we first started talking, probably like 2014.
Damn.
Right? And then it got about like 2016 where he came back around. So anyways, I end up dropping like a couple bills because he's like, hey man, I'm gonna give you a super discount if you're ready right now.
Right.
So I sent him a couple $100 or whatever. Before that, he FaceTimes me. I'm at work. He FaceTimes me. And if you know what Freck looks like, man, he's light skinned with the freckles and the beard and shit. And I'm just like, just like starstruck because I'm over here in the fucking bathroom at my job that I had, and I'm just like, I can't believe how close I am.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
For sure.
You know, because what in the world? Why in the world would I be talking to this man like this in this capacity unless something big was about to happen?
Yep.
So I'm like, okay, cool. So I sent the bread over, whatever. I send the beat over. He tells me he's gonna get to it when he gets back from Lord knows where, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. But then I started feeling crazy because when he sent me when I checked it, like his Cash App, the email, whatever, it was like a burner account, and I was like, ah, damn. But he was FaceTiming me. It was really him.
It was him, yeah.
But he had like a burner set up to where he could finesse people.
Yep.
And I was just like, that's grimy because you're wearing like a chain that's probably like $20,000. You know, you got some bread or whatever. But then I come to find out that maybe those things aren't the truth, you know, like maybe he was borrowing the jewelry, doing the content or whatever, and he was really struggling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we go through those moments because it really tests us to see how committed we are to our dreams.
Right.
Because if I was to lose, you know, a couple $100 or whatever over something like that and just stop making music, then the whole thing is a waste.
100%.
There was really no reason to even go down that path. I want to talk to you about beef, man.
Woo!
I want to tell you why. Because beef is something that's really interesting. Because artistically, it could really bring out some great music sometimes.
It definitely can.
And also, it can get the attention of people like no other thing. I mean, you saw the Kendrick and Drake beef.
Ooh, man.
Man, I got to ask you. Because you do make more of a pop-centric sound. And you would think that everybody would think that you are Team Drizzy.
No, hell hell no.
Right? Because, but here's why. Why.
Okay.
Because if you were to just judge the surface and think like, okay, top 40, you know what I'm saying? You know, Legz got the sound that could be on the radio. Why wouldn't he align himself with somebody who's not so underground?
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
But that reaction just let me know a lot.
Yeah.
I want to hear a little bit about this, man.
Bro.
And we got a shout out to Kendrick. We got the poster right above you.
Big shouts out to Doc, man. Come on now.
Yes.
I'll be real with you. I have an issue with other R&B artists. Just depending. R&B to pop, it's a small gap. It is it's a couple letters, you know. So it's easy to blend the two together. Well, the reason why I was rooting for Kendrick and not Drake is to see how he's progressed and how he's come up. And I'm like, man, what are you? It's just watching it from afar, like, that doesn't make any damn sense. You know, for starters, the beef with Chris Brown made no sense.
Okay. You mean with Drake and
Chris Brown? Made no sense.
Rihanna.
Yeah. There was, I mean,
that was the reason.
But you're gonna. It's two R&B dudes that are physically fighting each other over a woman.
It was nonsensical. Yeah. But there was the women. Rihanna was the reason, right?
Okay, and I get that. I do understand that. But to me, really, it just didn't make too much sense.
You don't line up with that.
Not at all.
Okay, I got you.
So my beefs, of course, coming from what I was.
Not over ladies.
No, not directly at least. No, it's understanding the beef itself. That's why I'm just like, okay, we had Nas's beef on Ether.
Okay, yeah.
That you understood that.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, you had No Vaseline with Cube. You know,
yeah,
you understood it though.
It made sense.
It made sense.
The conflict made sense.
Yes. So having the beef between Drake and Kendrick, and it made no sense to me because I'm like, whoa,
where did it come from?
Where did it come from?
That makes sense.
But there's been a long. It's apparently, of course, it's that whole. It ain't big three, it's just big me. You know, like that. I'm like, okay, you're don't lump me up with you. I'm me. Yeah, and I can respect that.
That's how it all kicked off again, but it goes back
further.
Yeah, and before Control verse. Even.
Yeah, bro. The dissing goes even further back. So I'm like, okay, there's harsh feelings, and there's always going to be, especially with big names. You know, especially with Drake. Drake, one of the biggest names in the world, just in general. We get it. But Kendrick Lamar is like, no, my name's big too. It's just spelled longer. You know, yours is quicker to say. Mine resonates more with people. So hearing the beef, I was like, okay, cool. And then hearing they not like us, I'm like, oh,
it's that kind of
beef. Okay, but then I had to sit back with it. I like to dissect shit, but I had to sit back and I was like, you're low key snitching though. So I was like, I'm torn. Like,
wait, Kendrick was snitching?
It's a dry snitch, yeah, bro. And not like us.
That he's a pedophile?
Not just that, but just everything, you know, with Party Next Door and the way he's just kind of going at people.
That's just battle rap, though.
That is battle rap. Battle rap isn't so much commercial. We know battle rap to watch it on YouTube. We know battle rap to probably pop around the corner from where we stay.
They talk about putting dead relatives in packs. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna smoke your uncle. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
That kind of shit.
That kind of stuff.
And that's dark, but that's where that world goes to.
It gets dark, exactly. But I don't know. I guess it was the commercialized thing where I'm just like, because I'm just saying here, I can't go next door and call someone a pedo. Yeah. In a group of people, in let's say in a crowd, you know, what's the crowd to the Kendrick and Drake beef? Us, everybody who's listening. I can't go next door and call somebody a pedo. They're gonna be like, excuse me, and then to say it in front of people, like, yo, no. Whether I know the truth or not, I can't say that. At least that's how I came up. At least R&B wise, I can't. I gotta keep my mouth shut.
No, there's an authenticity to it. Yeah, no, I feel that. And you know, I think that you're right in a lot of circumstances. I think that being on such a stage like they were allowed for a lot of shit to get off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it was more on a localized level where things were a little bit more like controlled in a sense, because you got to see somebody after the battle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a different world. Sure. Like if you make a joke about my loved one or something like that, I can catch you before you get to the car. Yeah. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But they got lawyers in the main network, you know, so okay, cool. Let's go ahead and do this.
Suing.
That's
a new thing.
Exactly. But what I saw it as too with that part is I'm just like, but there's proof of you doing some funny shit.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm not going to defend you if I can see it. If you're doing it, all he's saying is that it happened. People can go search that up, you know, like
That's kind of like how the journalists who break down murders online, they get called a snitch, but it's like this all information is online.
Yeah, it's all public.
It's already been released. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm cultivating it for my audience, and if you call that lying, I call that good journalism.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And that's totally fine. So that's why I was like, okay, let me step back into liking this song. Like, you're right. I can actually search him up doing some weird shit. Fine, got it.
Bro, you know what? It was crazy that Kendrick came prepared. Like, it was like a musical, like it was a play.
Yeah.
From Like That to Euphoria to 616. Like, if you go track for track by track, like he starts with giving you the whole layout. Like, this is where we're gonna go with it. Do you choose door A, door B, door C? And then because Drake continuously chose the door that he knew that he was gonna choose, he already had tracks lined up.
It was premeditated.
He had 10 records to
go.
Bro. Different styles, different approaches. Euphoria was 20 minutes long originally.
Yeah.
But the reason I brought it up initially is because I wanted to know, over the years, has anybody said your name on a record, tried to get at you? Give us some of those gems, man. Those are fun to talk about.
Did. It was one time. And then, of course, people just talking. That's all. No, this dude, which he wasn't an artist, and I don't know how many people fucked with him much, but he mentioned my name. He mentioned the homie Choki's name while he was still making music. He mentioned my boy East Coast when he was still making music from Yaktown Militia.
Okay, yeah.
Way back then. This is how far back it goes.
Shit.
He mentioned Suave Loke's name. You know, Suave.
Okay, yeah.
From Caesar Mill.
Yep.
So he mentioned all of our names.
Shout out to Suave Loke.
Big shout out to my boy Suave, man.
One of the coolest guys.
Oh yeah. Bro.
And his brothers are cool.
Oh yeah, the twins are dope right now, man. Like I'm building my studio right now, and I told them they're gonna be the first artists that I get in there. Like, those are my guys. They showed a lot of love, so I gotta show them.
You know, I feel like somebody should put some money behind those guys because they're super marketable.
Bro, 100%.
To have twins like that both kick rhymes.
Yeah.
Come on, let's
bro.
go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You feel me?
But nah, this dude, he said, break both your knees and or something like that, then you can really call yourself Crazy Legs. I was like, what?
He thought he was cooking, huh?
He thought, but he was very ABC rap. Like, it wasn't something I would.
He was serving up Lunchables.
Yeah, bro.
That's
like,
crazy.
While we're over here serving up a steak. And I was just like, who the hell is this guy? And I mean, I got contacted by Choki, which he never reached out to me, at least. If I'd see him in public, it's love. And I was just like, oh shit, I didn't hear it until now. I was like, damn, that's crazy. Which it never turned into anything. And this dude never became anything. I think I still actually every now and again I see him, bro. And sometimes I just wanna, but then I'm just like, nah, that was 10 years ago. It ain't worth it. But yeah, no, really, that was honestly the only time anybody's ever said my name on a track. In
the words of Nas, some beef is everlasting.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
And sometimes, bro, I just want to give it the heartbeat. I was like, I'll do something right now that I'll just reignite this feud. But I mean, I was ready. I started writing. I wrote
It's the spectrum of man. You know what
I mean? Bro,
you're
not attacking my name. You're attacking, you know, my character, who I am,
my reputation, everything.
I actually wrote a song called New Hollywood Story, and this was when mixtapes were being released left and right. This is before everything was like easily accessible for any artist to start putting their music out there.
Right.
And I mean, I gave him a whole verse of just like, this is why you don't come at me, bro, because I can actually write. I will go for your throat. And I was like, damn. Like, Status heard it. Like, it was on a mixtape that I released. And I told him it's about him. But Status was the second or third person to know. And he even told me, he goes, take it down. Don't do that. Take it down. And he goes, whose lane are you trying to be in? Yours or his? and I mean, that was cool. It was to have that wisdom, because ain't nobody teaching me how to do this.
True.
You know, I was in the studio with Status, and then Status is just constant, way busier than I'll ever be. So I was like, fuck it, just tell me what I need to buy. I'll learn to engineer my own shit. And that's actually how I became an engineer, bro.
Oh, really?
That's 100%. Tired of waiting on Status, because I know how busy the man can get. Well, in the end, it was my most regrettable project that I ever released. And it was called I Ain't Done Yet. And
was that like your rap, like your heavy rap?
Yeah.
You're spitting bars and
spitting bars, bro. I was trying to do something. And it was before I took singing like really, really serious. Yeah, man. I don't know where the hell he is, but he can stay there.
So Electric. The record that we did together,
yeah,
man.
Classic.
Man, I listened to it all week. I've been listening to it to prepare for this record right here, for this podcast rather, with you. And it really takes me back to a time where things were so much more simple. But also things were very infectious. Very. Because I remember the EDM electronica scene, that was taking off around the time where that song came out.
Yeah.
The Warped Tour circuit had a lot of bands that were playing like electronic rock stuff. Like there was a band called Breathe Carolina, and I remember them. I remember hearing Breathe Carolina and thinking like, this sounds like the song that we did, the So Electric, because there was a couple harmonies and melodies that you fucked with that just took me back to that era so heavily. What can you tell me about that record? Like, do you remember anything about the process? Let's go into it a little bit.
Yeah, man. It's because on my first album, I wanted to release a song called "I'm Here," and it was all EDM. At the time, I hadn't heard anybody put anything lyrically behind any EDM, nothing at all. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. And with listening to it, I was like, oh, that's a great song, but it didn't fit with the project. So I was like, I'm just not gonna do it. I was like, I'll leave it alone. Maybe at another time, and we'll see what we do. And then I call Status. I was like, I need something. I need at least 2 minimum dancing songs. So he sent me Never Dance Alone, which is one of my favorite, dance songs that I've ever written. And then he sent me Electric. And I was like, I like that. And he goes, yeah, bro, that's super clubby. I was like, well, that's super, you're rolling. And you're in a club and you're kind of looking around. The way the beat was, I was just like, the way it sounds. I was like, that's kind of the energy it gives off. So I was like, okay. I was like, oh, I gotta come up with something. Like, you're so electric, oh yeah, that's something. And I wrote it, recorded it. Normally I would go through Status to do my recordings for the singing tracks. And then I would do the recordings to do my rapping tracks or anything that I'm gonna spit, I'll do it myself. Because that's easy to manage, I know what to listen for. This is before I really dug in vocally. Well, this one, he was like, nah, I'm not going to be able to do it this one. I'm busy. We'll do it another time. I was like, nah, fuck that. I need to do it now. I was like, I'm inspired. I'm motivated. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I wrote the whole verse. I recorded the chorus. And this is where I was getting creative with my engineering. I was like, okay, let me have that distortion here. I was like, you know what? Let me turn it. I was like, let me go ahead. All I did was turn it in the booth. And I was like, let me adjust the vocals. Let me get creative. And I did. So what ended up happening was I said everything the hell I wanted to say in that first verse. And then that bridge, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to one-take the bridge. I learned now I don't one-take anything. Hell no. Jump me in. Well, you run out of breath really easy now.
It's a different time.
100%. Well, I told Status, I go, I definitely need somebody on this song. I go, would you help me find somebody? And he goes, honestly, bro, I don't know. Status was managing his own projects, and I get it. And I was leaning heavy. I was like, Status, come on, bro, help me out. He's like, I don't know. And this is after the Beza concert that happened. And I did the editing promo because I was host. I don't know why the hell they let me host that, bro, but they let me host it. It was cool. And I put one of yours. This is when you went by Bowser Vic.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let me listen to his stuff real quick. And I was going through it because I listened to a couple, indie, trap, and some of the people that I was in contact with. I was like, yeah, that would work. And then I listened to your stuff. I was like, oh, this would be dope. I was like, the way he spits, I was like, yeah, that would work. I like the way that sounds. Let me go ahead and try that real quick. Yeah, definitely, bro. So I had to do my homework. Now I fuck with a lot of artists where I'm just like, okay, you know what? That's directly in your lane. How do you feel? A lot of artists are just like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this.
They're so honest.
They're very honest, and I appreciate their honesty too, because I'm like, okay, you know what? You're right. Maybe I jumped the gun on it. Let me go ahead and just listen to it. And sometimes I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't give that away. But no, bro, with Electric, coming your way with it, I was just like, that's going to give it the pop to hip hop edge that I need. That I know for a fact is gonna hit if we ever perform it. Yeah. Like if we're in a club and someone throws it on, I was like, let's do it, bro. It's gonna light up whatever we're doing, and it did. I mean, we managed to perform it once, and it was the energy was right. So contacting you made
right.
sense for it, bro.
It was a real fun moment too, because it allowed me to step into a lane where I didn't really have a lot of grounds in.
Right.
But I knew that I wanted to chop it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was experimenting with a flow that was kind of like new for me.
Right.
But it hit perfect because the beat just had the pockets for me to just kind of deliver that. When I heard the final version and I heard the auto tune on the verse that I did, I was like, oh shit, this is the first time anybody's put auto tune on my shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, this shit kind of goes.
It goes, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I like that. That was the beginning of an era where I was gonna fuck around with some auto tune.
Yeah.
And I had my own little Kirko Bangs fucking. You know what I'm saying? I had my own little run.
Definitely.
There was an app recently during the pandemic, which we're gonna get into in a little bit.
For sure.
That allowed you to what was it? It had like producers that uploaded beats, right? And then you could record freestyles on this app.
Right.
And you had one of the features was an auto-tune feature.
Oh, cool.
So I was singing auto-tune over all these hip-hop beats, and I was competing with people on like a ranking board. Right. And this was during the pandemic, and this is when I first publicly started singing. Because I had never sang publicly because I was very insecure about my voice. Right. But it was mainly because I thought I had like a rock and roll style voice. Because I was really heavy into like metal and shit like that too. Yep. Right. But what I realized is that my unique voice was going to be like one of the things that I had like a secret weapon, like a tuck. You know what I'm saying? Like I could totally bring that out, and then you could distinguish me from anybody. Right. So the pandemic, what it did to a lot of us was it really shut people down. It really forced people to really look at their lives and say, what do I need and what don't I need right now? There was a lot of couples that broke up, a lot of divorces that happened during the pandemic. A lot of people lost their jobs, and a lot of it was mental.
Definitely.
Because if you look at it, we survived. I mean, food was still in the stores. You know, there was a couple weeks where you couldn't get hand sanitizer and toilet paper and shit. Crazy. But that was because of the media's push, right? Yeah. But I want to go into your world here, because I know for me, I started doing podcasting in 2020. Right when the pandemic hit. Gotcha. And I also started singing publicly. So the two things that came from the pandemic for me, the two gifts that I allowed myself to enjoy was podcasting, which we're still doing today, right? And singing, which I am going to do more of in the future. Hell yeah. So I'm going to definitely hit you up for those records too. But I'm also doing a deluxe called When We Were Kids that I might need you to drop something on. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man,
let me know.
Yeah, cool. I think the world would be shocked to see a collaboration like ours almost 10 years after, Electric. I know it's probably been like 7 years, but, it's
been something like that. Yeah, definitely.
So take me back to the pandemic. Take me back to your mind frame, because no matter who you are, there's a story
100%.
With the pandemic.
Yeah, man.
And since you're a musician, I know music's involved.
Definitely. Oh, man, the pandemic was hard. So in the job that I'm in, it's corporate retail. So I'm who has to handle everybody's problems. And so that alone, we managed to work from home. So, thankfully we were able to stay. I was able to still finance my life, because dude, it's like you said, people were losing a lot. And, what's up, Miss Cindy? What's up, lovely? So I got to, come on, that's life right there, bro. That's earth. Well, what ended up happening is I was, like you said, I was kind of forced into a certain position that I had never really been in, and it was to really sit with myself. Because with how busy the world is and how easily we can get caught up with everything, it's almost like that's how you feel like, damn, my day's gone by like that. It's not. Your day hasn't happened. Your day was happening around a bunch of other people. Your day didn't happen without these people. What would have happened if you didn't have those people? And I was forced into that state of mind. How the hell am I going to get through this? How long are we going to be like this? Is this the beginning to whatever end is supposed to happen? And to me personally, the world shifted off its axis during the lockdowns, man. The world has not been the same since. Yeah. And we kind of understood that was going to happen. Well, with my job, I'm dealing with personalities. I'm dealing with upset and scared people. I'm dealing with people saying thank you for being there. And then I'm dealing with people like, how dare your company force you to work? And I'm like, what do you need? How can I help you? I'm stuck in that position. And then musically it got hard, because to me, fresh out of a breakup, bro.
Yeah.
Fresh out of one, and it was bad. Like, I ended up having to go to court because of this woman, bro.
Damn.
Horrible. Okay. Over something I didn't do. And, you know, of course, everybody's going to be like, I didn't do it. Nah, I swear to God, I didn't do anything. And
she framed you? She made it look
bro,
like
she tried to make me, she tried to put papers on me. I was like, what the like, girl, don't nobody. After the breakup, everything happened. I blocked her and everybody in her family, bro.
Did you see that come in?
A little bit.
Was she kind of a person who you felt you had to worry about?
Yep. And
that's too bad.
And I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and it didn't work. Because I'm just like, okay, I want you to be a blessing in my life, not a lesson.
Right.
But why'd you have to go and be that lesson? Not to fuck with somebody like you.
Yeah.
I want to give anybody that choice to be part of my life. And
were you ever toxic?
Me?
Yeah, I gotta ask.
Oh, she and I were very toxic with each other. That I'll never say I wasn't a perfect boyfriend. Fuck no. I was still learning me. I was still very, very much so trying to understand who the fuck I actually was.
I think because of the way that we're raised imperfect, that naturally we have the ingredients and recipes to be naturally toxic when we start to embark in relationships.
Yeah, bro.
And things like that.
And that's what it was. So I had to go to court in another state. That's how far away I was away from her, bro, and she was causing problems for me here.
Why was it another state?
Because she's out in the open here. She swore because she had a public profile on social media that I was stalking her.
Oh.
And our page. I was like, girl, I blocked that fucking page too. Like, what are you talking about?
So she tried to get you for cyber stalking.
For just stalking in general. I was like, no, fool, I found out you were pregnant after we broke up. I blocked you.
Wait a minute.
It made sense. It did.
She was pregnant from...
No, fuck no, it ain't mine.
Because blocking after...
It ain't mine. No. I promise you, and I promise everybody, it ain't mine.
So you heard that she moved on and she got pregnant, and that just let you know where you stood with her.
Exactly. So I was like, let me go ahead and just block. I don't need to be part of that. And that's where a point in my life where I was like, I can choose to not be part of something. I'm going to just go ahead and do that. To this day, bro, the stuff that she was posting about me on social media, I still ain't seen it. I don't want to, because I know it'll disrupt a part of me that it no longer exists, you know. And in that time, I was like, I could say something, I could do something, I can literally ruin stuff. Nah, I'm cool. Making myself feel like I have a choice in the matter, bro. It brought me to a point in my life where I was like, I can take that with me everywhere. That's why when someone's like, I just don't want you to feel like, no. I made the choice to continue to be right here. It's all choices.
Well, that's pretty profound what you just said. Being that you had a choice, that allowed you to go through what you went through.
Yeah, man.
If you had no choice, that's when we see people crash out.
Exactly.
That's when we see people throw their lives away.
Yeah, bro.
Wow. That's pretty profound.
Exactly.
But people don't have the self-awareness or the wherewithal to really just sit and think like, hey, I got two options. Crash the fuck out right now and ruin my life, or set my life back 5 years.
Exactly.
Right?
Why do I want to do this to me?
Look at myself like I'm a valuable person. I got something to offer the world that is separate from what I've been through.
Exactly.
That's pretty deep, man.
Why would, if you're gonna give yourself a choice, why are you gonna take the choice that doesn't benefit you?
Man, that right there is something that I'm gonna take from this podcast, because it's universal and it's timeless.
It definitely is.
You know what I mean?
And that's how I live my life since then. And that's something I learned from the lockdowns. I was forced to not have a choice, but to be where I was, and I was forced to sit with myself. But I also had a choice to let myself spiral. I had a choice to embark on new parts of my life, or I had a choice to just sit down and really learn who the hell I actually am. Because after those court battles, bro, after all of that shit, it sucked.
How old were you?
2020, I just turned 30.
Okay. So let me ask you this. After hearing about what you went through during the pandemic and with the relations with the old girl, at 34, who are you?
I'm such a good person.
You're a good person.
I try to be. Every single fucking day, I try to be somebody that I would want to be around.
Are you a balanced person?
No, I'm very imbalanced. And I think that's what I like about me, is I can go teeter-totter to whatever side, but the important things in my life, I have that balance.
You have the balance.
I have that balance.
To know that you have that imbalance.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, okay.
It's to be perfectly imperfect.
And is that because you reserve the right to crash out for the right situations?
Picking and choosing my battles has become a life lesson. and it's become a lifestyle.
So there's a red button.
Fuck yeah, there's a red button. The red button's a person, and it's just avoid that person. You know what I mean? And I won't rip your throat out and put it in your hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that is, and that's okay. And
yeah, that's fine.
Miss Sin just said, literally the most genuine person I've ever known. Thank you. Appreciate that.
But that's important because a lot of people can get you fucked up and misconstrued and try to act like they're gonna have their way with your name, your personality, your energy.
Yeah, bro.
And then that really puts you in a predicament because you got to ask yourself, what chapter am I on in my life?
Yes. Come on now.
You know what I mean?
Where have I landed?
Because if you go back a couple of chapters and you try to jump to a chapter that you haven't like got to yet,
come on,
you forget everything that you learned in between then and there.
That's fact.
So it erases progress and it actually changes the way that you look from the outside. And what I mean by that is, like, if you are building yourself brick by brick, right? And your whole foundation for your empire is consistency and knowing everything that you've gone through and the person that you've become, to revert back to a couple chapters before you laid the foundation, it makes you forget the floor plans to your empire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that reserve, that red button, that crash out that we reserve, you gotta wonder sometimes if the wiring still works on that shit.
It works. I test it every now and again.
Because I put myself in the same situation, because there's times where I bait the rappers out there.
Yeah, be like, I need a reaction.
You know, because I say, say my name, like Beyonce. Yep. You know what I mean? Because I am working with a different kind of skill craft when it comes to words.
Definitely.
So I would like for somebody to be presumptuous about that, especially with having 20 plus years in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
So the red button exists, it still works, but we have to be really mindful of where we're at in the story of our life.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why Kendrick versus Drake is interesting, because at the very end of his career, he decides to throw Drake into the incinerator. And rightfully so, because he launched himself into a legacy act using some real modern techniques. Yep. Because now he's doing stadium tours.
Yeah, bro.
He did, what was it, like 7 or 8 sold out shows already. You know, the highest grossing concert, he just surpassed Eminem.
Shit.
So Kendrick made $9.1 million in Minneapolis and surpassed Eminem.
Minneapolis is crazy.
Right, Prince
close
land.
to Canada, bro.
But did Prince ever do 9 million in one night?
Not like that.
That's crazy, right?
That is crazy.
So it kind of shows you. This is where I want to take this conversation next. Yeah. It shows you the old world versus the new world. What's big? What's popular in comparison to what was big and what was popular? Because Drake kind of got a lot of people's nerves when he started calling himself Michael Jackson.
That bugged the shit out of me.
Right?
Sure did.
And the way that he mocks people and the way that he talks down on legends.
Yeah.
It really bothers a lot of people. The way that he talks like the Beatles weren't shit and that he runs through them. And also with Michael and he in the way that he beefed with Common and Mos Def and he doesn't have respect for no one.
Nope.
So he's got a weird balance where he dick rides, people who he wants to be cool with, right?
Yeah,
and then how he flames up people who he feels can't help.
Yep.
Right? And somebody once told me a quote where they said, the way that you treat people who can't do nothing for you says a lot about you.
Come on now.
And I think that right there is something to always look at when it comes to these things. So now bring the conversation back to modern times. Do you feel like your music, your presence is much more amplified now because of the ease of access to technology? Or do you feel like back in the day when things weren't so accessible, that there was a certain mystique that really played into the artistry and also just made everything so much more memorable? And or maybe we're looking through things as a nostalgic lens. How do you come to terms with where music and entertainment has come due to the internet age and where it was when we were buying CDs at Best Buy?
I think the accessibility factor, it plays such a huge role right now, because don't get me wrong, social media has been around for a long time, music's been around even longer, and having them partnered up, you're just like me. We were releasing our music on YouTube. We found out about Reverb Nation. We found about SoundCloud, Hulkshare. We found out about all these options to be able to go ahead and, okay, well, my music is now accessible. But what's the difference between accessibility and current status is now it's easier. It's even easier than it was, and it was easy back then. Now, I don't think you really have to try. I can make a TikTok with a brand new song I'm working on and not sing, not make a move, and just have the titles do it for me. You know, like
the algorithms.
The algorithm, yeah, the algorithm. Everything is algorithm based, and it's so much accessible for new artists, for new people coming out. I mean, dude, I'm coming across people on TikTok. I was like, God, if it wasn't for this app, I genuinely want to know how you would have done this. And it's just like comparing. It's like Drake comparing himself to Michael. It's like anybody comparing themselves to Michael's album Thriller. Everybody's saying like, well, that's the most albums sold of all time. When you had to physically go buy a record, when you had no choice but to go somewhere and do it. Now this guy's got all the streams.
Yeah.
Like, to me, there's a certain level of authenticity behind it. Like, me personally, when I see, because you know we can all see our stats.
Yeah.
I can see my stats. I'll see the stats of you banging on Electric all week. I'll be able to see that later. But when I see where my demographic hit and where they hit it at, oh, Apple Music, that's great. Spotify, that's great. iTunes, oh, that's even better. That makes me happy because they just physically purchased, you know, digitally, but physically purchased my record. And that makes me feel some type of way. That's if my phone ever gets cut off, I'll always be able to listen to Legz because I own that now. It's having the accessibility and knowing where it's taking place at. Because if you're going to stream my record, cool. I love you. Thank you so much for doing that. But if you're going to buy it, this is a forever thing for you, or at least for as long as you can possibly imagine.
That's like VIP.
Come on now.
If you're buying the record, you know what I'm saying? They want, or you go to a show.
Yeah.
Buy merch.
The merch. Oh, bro. I've been having so much fun with merch.
that right there is my main thing since the pandemic. You know?
Same.
Yeah.
Same. And I love that I dabbled into that. I'm not a digital designer at all. I've got my boy Paper Bag, who I met on here, that has created multiple different, you know, designs for me. And it's made its way. I mean, my most recent one, M Status and I released an album together.
I was checking that out.
Yeah, and it was the merch for it. I try to do a unique merch for every project, for everything that I do. Well, this one was me and M Status's 90s characters. One of them was his Rugrats. The other one was Animaniacs.
That's probably why it caught my eye. That's my kind of shit.
Come on, bro.
I like that.
Hell yeah.
Nostalgia. So the merch, okay, cool. I want to talk about TikTok because we kind of brushed up against it.
Do it.
TikTok, give me the whole rundown, like of how you discovered the app. Like, did you discover it when it was Musically? Like, how deep does the game go with you when it comes to TikTok?
Yeah, it went deep into Musically. I wasn't really fond of the app at the time, just because everything looked the exact same. It was a lot of kids, and that's fine. And that had no business being on a kids app, none. And it goes into something that I'll mention here in a minute. But it was a very, this ain't my type of app.
It wasn't where it would needed to be quite yet.
None, not at all. Let me just stick with Instagram. I just got on Instagram not too long ago. Let me just focus on that and focus on the music. Well, then I heard, you know, they got bought out and it's now TikTok. And I was like, oh, that's great. I heard about it in 2019, didn't touch it. Had the app because I had Musically. So I was grandfathered into this app. Well, lockdown started happening, and my roommate at the time was just like, oh, look at this video. It's just some funny video she found. I was like, what app is that? She goes, TikTok. And I was like, oh, shit. Let me go ahead and create myself a profile, something to do. And then I was introduced to doom scrolling. You know, it ain't never going to end. I'm just, here I am. But the algorithm, yeah. So when people say like, oh, I'm not going to get on the app, it's a bunch of little girls dancing. I'm like, why are little girls dancing on your algorithm? They ain't doing it on mine. Come on now. I was like, I see right now, bro, if you scroll through my timeline, you're going to see funny cat videos and baby videos.
I'm going to tell you right now, I am 100% guilty of like the Big Bang. You remember the Big Bang Challenge? When the girls were wearing the leggings and shit? You know, older girls, of course, right? I was like, what the fuck? You know, this shit is crazy. And then next thing you know, I'm locked in watching all these fucking videos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was single at the time, and I was like, damn, this is fucking nuts. So I wanted to be closer to this world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I figured that I could put my music out there too as well. And then it just turned into something really natural and really pure, because it kind of gave you some film and editing kind of chops too as well.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
Because if you wanted to use the tools and things of that nature, it was really fun.
Yeah, it definitely has.
But outside of that, when did you really start to see some motion, some momentum? Was there a video that you posted?
Yeah, there was one specific video. So I tell anybody who's ever asked how to gain any type of, motion, any type of traction on social media, and it's always have a niche. Like have something, that one little piece that makes everybody be like, oh fuck, I fuck with this guy. And for
That's
me,
your lane.
Your lane. And me, I always thought it's my dancing, it's my singing. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. It is, but so is 40, 50 other million users, and some of them more times than not are fully better than you, and that's fine. So one day I found out about this thing called blind reactions. Just watch a video, record your, duet yourself, watching the video for the first time, and it worked.
I think I've seen some of yours.
Yeah.
I saw one where somebody was like slamming some meat on a counter or something, and you're like, oh,
that's not a heart. I know what you're talking about, but it was that. Yeah. Humor.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, people want to come back, they want to feel good, but they want to laugh. And I've learned that anybody who wants to become a cook, it's a great career to be in. Why? Fuck, everybody gets hungry. Everybody wants to laugh. Everybody wants to feel good. And of course, laughing, when it's true and genuine, it comes from a place that you'll sit down hours later and laugh even harder at the way you laughed at yourself at what you just watched. Humor.
Very interesting.
You gave somebody something. And during the lockdown, bro, we had nothing. We had nothing but what was in front of us. And I was like, fuck, if I can just keep this going, like this video, I was live too. It was crazy. I was cooking. And that's one of my favorite things to do when I have the time is cook on live. And I'm chit-chatting with my folks, with my people, and it's fun. And I had like 7 or 8 people, and we just talking, and I'm cooking. And then, boom, that hits 40. I was like, what the fuck? Cool. Hey, whatever. Hey, welcome in, guys. My name's Legz. I'm the little brown guy on TikTok. That was my thing. And then I look away, and I come back. I'm at like 300 people. I'm like, whoa. And I look at what time it is. I go, okay, people probably doing scrolling. It's about the time. And someone's just like, dude, your video is hilarious. Ay cochino. That was my thing. I was just like, what? Oh, shit.
Cochino.
Ay cochino, I was like, bet.
I remember that. Yeah,
I was like, I appreciate it. Cool. And then the viewer count hits like 900. I was like, holy fuck. How many of you came from the video? And everybody's like, all of us. And so I was like, hey, somebody give me a live view count. And someone's like, you just hit 30,000 views. And I'm like, holy shit. And then like a few minutes later, you're up to 45,000. I was like, damn. And by the end of that live, I hit 107,000 views. I was like, damn. I was like, it's
These
just...
were concurrent viewers?
Yeah, bro. Wow. And these are new people flooding in, following. And I was that real, like, I'm going to follow you back. Pop, 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 pop. TikTok's like, slow down. No, you got to stop following people for the next 48 hours. Stop. I try to keep up, and then I found out TikTok has a cap limit of 10,000 people that you can follow. It's fine. And I was like, oh shit, they really like this. I was like, all right, let me do another video. No, for a solid year, bro, none of my videos had less than like 80,000 views. And I was like, oh shit, let me try to plug my music. Because my music that I was posting at the time, I was like, maybe 400 or 500 views, and that's cool. That's love, you know? I was just like, damn, I'm doing numbers over here. Let me try this real quick. 8,000-9,000 views, 15,000-20,000 reacting to other artists and all that stuff, like reactions, and that's how I made a lot of connections. But it was humor at all times. Even now, I post very modestly, and I was like, fuck, let me just do my best to make it fun. But I started noticing, like, people will come in, and I was a live streamer. All I did was go live. I barely posted, but I wasn't the way it is now. I was in there talking with them. I'm just like I am now. I'll talk to you. I'm going to engage with you. We're friends. We're talking about sensitive topic. I host karaoke, and they're there with me when I'm hosting. Like, it's that. I was like, this is what I do. This is who we are. This is what I am. And then I started noticing some of my content got real. It got very real for some people.
Was it because of the environment that we were kind of... socially?
I adapted. I was like, okay, let me talk about some real life shit. All right, cool. You guys need a big brother. All right, cool. You guys need a All right, got it. I can do that. Let me kick you some game. And then it started getting started hitting the side of political. And then just kind of the way the world is now, you know, and I'm I'm Latino, I'm Mexican, you know, and I was like, I gotta stand up. I gotta say something. I gotta
speak for my
use my voice, and I have the platform to do that. So with I'm at 180,000 followers now.
Mm-hmm.
I know when to say something and when not to say something, but not all social media is the same.
What is that feeling like? Like, tell me a little bit about that. Like, how do you know when you want to say something?
I think it's kind of like when we're performing or go to a karaoke show.
Okay.
And just sit there.
Yeah.
And think, I'm gonna sing something.
Yeah.
Read the room first.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I do. And
so
social
you
media.
Read the room.
Yeah, read the room, but it's a really big room to read. So picking and choosing your battles has become an art. You gotta be like, I'm gonna say the exact same thing the last 40 creators have said about this. Let me just go ahead and push that creator stuff because they're saying exactly what I need to say and agree. Let me make a comment in there. Let me agree. Let me show my people, be like, this is what I've been saying. And then sometimes you're just like, but you didn't say this. Let me be the one to say it.
So you add your flair.
Got to. And then anything that anybody wants to add to it, if anybody's going to be like, damn, I didn't know that. Here you go.
Okay, let me ask you this. Have you always been somewhat of a social awareness? Like, you kind of knew what the world was from an early age, and you kind of seen, like, maybe, you know, the corruption, the shadowiness behind, you know, people in power, things of that nature. Were you always kind of like that curious-minded kid? Or is this something that you developed later on as you matured?
Definitely developed later on in life, but I wasn't given the choice. It happened to me.
Yeah, you couldn't play ignorance.
None. I couldn't pretend like it didn't exist. Like we're you know, we got a little melanin in our skin. So
you've had some instances where you've been treated very badly because of how you look.
Exactly. Like I wasn't given the choice but to experience it. And it was my side of town. And my side of town's the East, you know, like it's not always the best place to be. It's what people would call the ghetto. And that's okay. Yeah. The hood. And that's where we were from. So there were dances where we would go to every Saturday, and there were people under 18, you know, or under 21 because they didn't want to mix the demographics. We would go there and we would have fun. Well, afterwards, that's up in the air. Anything that happens after that, and it's been like that since the 90s. My mom would talk about it. My cousins and my aunts, they would tell me about it. So I knew this place had a little bit of a, you know, like, all right, you got a reputation, that's fine. Until it happened to me. Like, all I heard about was fools fighting in the parking lot. I ain't got no business. They ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm a dancer. I just danced for 4 straight hours. I'm dripping. Leave me alone. So we were walking home, and we didn't live very far. And cops pull up on us, like 6 or 7 cops. I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Right.
And all I see is my homeboy, who's black. He just drops to his knees, hands behind his back. I'm like, what are you doing? This had nothing to do with us. We didn't do shit. Boom, I was forced to my knees, bro. Yeah. And my hands were forced to go up. I was like, what is actually happening right now? I wasn't given a choice I wasn't given the option to, like, express, you know, whatever you're doing, you're doing it to the wrong person. I wasn't given that choice. And who it was actually happening to was around the corner. They just picked the first set of little dark-skinned, brown kids, little hood-looking kids to fuck with. And it actually had to do with somebody's house. It had nothing to do with the dance. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. So I of course, I put myself in the position to be like, let me go ahead and just really, really look at the fucking world that I'm in right now and the position I'm gonna allow myself to be in. And so that's when, you know, I had no choice but to be like, all right, let me see the world. Let me go ahead and just break these things down. And I did. And that's why I'm the person I am right now. It's because I had no choice.
So you felt like, okay, I see now how I'm perceived, and that's not right with me.
Because so it's not who I am.
I have to do something about that.
Yeah.
So you coming out on in a social way for helping those that don't have a voice really stems with how the world had you fucked up initially. Yeah. Right? So let me ask you this. Did you feel like you had to do research about your own culture to understand even more deeply how the story goes?
Definitely did.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about my culture. It was about my surrounding and what we're known for and what certain areas are known for. I'm second generation. You know, my dad's not from here. You know, I am. My daddy ain't. So I had to learn what it was to be a second generation.
Go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah. I had to learn what it was to be a second generation Latino and a second generation Mexican kid. I crack jokes. I tell everybody I'm a no sabo kid. I can speak Spanish. It's broken, but I can definitely speak Spanish. I understand a lot more than I'll ever actually speak. But learning about my culture was different because this wasn't high school. You know, we didn't have a Spanish history class that I attended. I didn't, at least. High school was social hour for me. Mm-hmm. But as I got older, I realized, okay, well, there's rooted issues. There's things that happen, and then there's cultural biases that I need to learn about. I need to understand this. And then it forced me as an adult, like in my early 20s, to really look at the way my family was when I was growing up. Both sides, mother's side, father's side. Why were they like this? Why did they choose to be this? Why did they treat anybody like this? And why would they talk about anybody like that? And I saw the biases, and I saw how both sides of my families really and initially why the fuck they headbutted so hard. I had to learn about them.
And you're full-blooded?
Nah.
You're half?
I think I'm partial white. I think that's what it is because I know my great grandma, she's white. You know, on my mama's side. And
cultural differences with the family separation.
Big time. And I mean, dude, black and white sides of my family exist. And that's cool too because I tell everybody, I was just like, I got black cousins. They're like, full black? Yeah, full black cousins that I grew up with, and they're some of my best friends, you know. And then I got white cousins, I got white relatives, aunts and uncles, you know, not just in marriage but in my family. And I'm like,
me too.
Yeah, and I'm just like, that's my family. And I had to learn to not see that anymore. I had to learn to accept their biases, or not accept it, but really see that they had them, you know, because the way that we do our best not to indulge in racism or prejudice, you know, or anything like that, is we need to learn how to check our own biases. Oh, he it's okay that he said it. He's my relative. I don't get offended when he said it. That wasn't okay to the 55 other people that heard it, but to the 56 is cool. Checking your own biases was important, and I had no choice. But again, a part of our lives, we weren't given the choice. We had no choice but to be that. We had to do that. Otherwise, and if this offends you, it offends you. I don't see colored people. Fuck that. Yeah, you do. You're just choosing to call it something else.
Right.
And that's you.
And it's like the whole all lives matter thing, you know what I'm saying, where people want to like turn down your trauma, turn down your experiences and your suffering to kind of equalize what they can relate to in their life.
Yeah.
And that isn't very fair because no matter how equal you try or you perceive yourself to be as far as fairness goes, there's always going to be that unjust like angle, because on a person-to-person basis, you don't know the struggle that any individual goes through.
Right.
And it's racist to imagine that you do when you look at a whole group of people, because the reason being is because you're no longer looking at them as individuals, you're looking at them as a group. And that means that you're putting a label, even if you think you're not. And see, that kind of thought is the reason why a lot of people can't comprehend why we had Trayvon in 2016. There was Mississippi, and like all these big things that were happening culturally that led us to where we're burning down fucking Targets and auto zones, which I think was really interesting.
I think it's and I won't call it this, but it's comparable. Misplaced aggression. You have nowhere to put it, so it's gonna go out in the very first thing that's in front of you. And think of the Rodney King riots. Everything. People are burning down their own neighborhoods. But that's because they have nowhere else to put their anger. They have nowhere else to... They don't have any type of outlet to really express how they feel. And of course, how they feel is valid. I'm not about to tell somebody how you feel is wrong. No, your feelings you're entitled to. That is 100% yours. I'll never take that. I learned that from somebody here. what I learned was you're only responsible for how you react, right? How you react is totally what is going to put you in position A or B. So when people have misplaced anger, that's why they were being called so many other things, right? They weren't being called, people who are expressive and expressing them. Granted, I'm not justifying, destruction of property or just destruction in general, but that's why people were, like you were saying, they were labeling them, is because they don't come from that culture and they don't understand the culture where wasn't given a fucking choice how to express myself here. I just let it off because now not just the oppression, but the hate, the solitary feelings that they have, that they're not given an area to really express it. I can't blame them for how they felt. I can't. And I mean, it's just with everything that's going on now, like labels. Don't call me Hispanic. I'm not fucking Hispanic. I'm Mexican. I'm okay with you calling me that. The reason why people are like, oh, it offends some people.
Politically correct.
Yeah. I was like, well, PC people exist. Sure. You asked them.
What about when they call you Latinx?
I'm not. I'm a millennial. I'm not Latinx. No. But it's their label to understand you. But as long as you're able to and you're willing to explain and express so they understand, you be like, no, I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican American, yes, but I'm Mexican. The reason why your friend over here or somebody else that you called Mexican was offended was probably the way you delivered it. Like, oh, this Mexican right here. If I see somebody say that, I'd be like, yeah.
It's all about tonality.
Yeah, tonality is real. Be like, but I know you're talking to me. Be like, what's up? Be like, fucking Mexicans, excuse me? It's how you deliver it. It's where.
Everything is tonality.
Yeah.
Because even like if you look at with the N-word in hip hop.
Come on.
There's some artists. There's a white rapper right now named Jin Lee, who is a redhead, and he's a Crip. And he raps that whole lifestyle.
Damn.
And he's dropping the N-word and he's saying, I'm ready to die about this shit. It's a different kind of energy with these youngins. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So I'm like, okay, you do it.
Whoever gave you that pass, bro. I mean, shit, I can't take it from you, but god damn.
But it's all about tonality.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
if someone feels disrespected by the way you said something.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, that matters because feelings matter.
Yep. And
it matters because you're there in that person's space as well.
Right.
Because, yeah, you can say whatever you want online or in the comfort of your home. But if it gets recorded and then it leaves your home, now you are subject to consequence because words do have consequences.
Yeah.
And we know this because, you could say some crazy shit when you're off work and it can get sent to your employer.
Yeah.
And they could say, well, we're going to start boycotting your business unless you get rid of this person.
Exactly.
It's so easy to fucking fire people.
That's a clause in jobs now. You represent this company in and out of it. And social media, I said it before, and this is, some people don't realize that social media is a weapon that we know how to use. So some folks are like, I'm invisible. I'm invincible. You can't touch me. I don't have a digital footprint. What's that?
Pull the camera out.
I'm sorry, fam. You want to say that again? Yeah, you want to say that again? Or what do you mean you don't got a digital footprint? You got a MySpace, which would lead to your name, which would lead to public record, which would lead to where you work, which would probably lead to a LinkedIn, whatever.
It's called accountability.
100%. Accountability is a weapon, though.
It is.
And some people feel attacked when it's in front of them. You're just like, no, you lack accountability because you feel you can't do no wrong. But with us, we have no choice but to be accountable for our actions. Otherwise, we're labeled as something else. Of course, it's an unfair balance, but all at the same time, bring it on.
Accountability is so big because it means so much. And it's so important in so many circumstances that are necessary for life.
Yeah.
Because you have relationships where you have to be accountable for your actions, your behaviors, in order for that person to be the person who still wants to be in a relationship with you. When you go to work, you have to be accountable for your responsibilities, your duties, so that you can keep your place at that job, right? Every aspect about accountability is truthful.
Yeah.
So when someone pulls out a cell phone because they're getting treated badly in public. Now accountability is in the building, and that right there is the main reason why technology has helped us while burning off and frying some of us in the same exact motion.
Yep. And that's all right, and that's how it should be.
It's Darwinism.
Yeah, it's Darwinism. It's how it should be.
Because this technology is so radical.
Yeah.
to what we know as in our like organic forms. If we were ever contrived from anything organically to get to this point,
right.
When technology is what it is and it baffles our brain, only the strongest of us can maintain our lives online.
Yep.
And the weakest of us succumb to our own inclinations, because the mirror is the internet is a mirror, and it reflects you back to you, and how you feel about yourself is what gets reflected back to you.
Definitely.
So there's an amplification too. That's why you see a lot of people who overdose, because not only are they addicted to drugs, but they're also addicted to their distraction, which is their device. And there's always a common denominator when it comes to so I like to get deep, especially.
No, that's totally fine.
When I get a little stony too as well. But to bring it all back to how we're treated in public and how it really affects us in a negative or positive way, that really makes sense on why you are a positive figure, who you're like, I can really snap and I can show you the negativity of the world in my version or my form, but I choose not to, because there's nothing you could do to get underneath the skin. You don't have that permission. You don't have that access.
I'm not giving you that power.
You don't have the keys.
None.
You're not even a factor when it comes to that. And I think that people lose that understanding. They don't have that barrier. They don't have that boundary. And that's what causes people to snap and end up in jail and things of that nature, because they have no boundaries. They have no way to protect themselves, right? Because Jay-Z had a quote one time where he said, have you ever stared at somebody and they look back at you, and just because they saw that you saw them, they wanted to kill you? And he said, I always wonder to myself, who hurt you? Who hurt you so bad that just by looking at you, you want to see another black man dead? It profound. This is the reason why Jay-Z's held in such high regard, because of the way that he thinks about these very issues. And to bring it all together, what I want to say to you is that I'm proud to know you as a friend, because you're a very strong person when it comes to handling things online emotionally and mentally. And I don't know if you get the roses for that too often. So I definitely want to say that I've been observing, I've been thinking that for a while, and I wanted to get the opportunity to tell you face to face that that's how I felt about you.
I appreciate that.
I got nothing but love for your music, your craft, the way you carry yourself online. I think you're a great role model, and I think that you will guide a legion of people through some of the hardest things that they'll ever face.
Let's go.
And I think that right there is the reason why you're here. That right there is the reason why doors continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So don't ever change, be that person, and I'm going to see you at the top.
Come on, bro.
Because people like us, we only go up.
That's true.
We only go up, and we only go down to help people up.
And sometimes even then, don't go down.
Don't go down.
Don't go down. And that's a dangerous place. That's a dangerous position to put yourself in.
Absolutely.
The reason being is because I'm not going to watch my people starve.
No.
If I got to feed you, I can feed you, but I can also feed you while I'm moving.
So you got to move too.
You got to, if you go stagnant, if you stay idle and you stop, if you have a friend that you want to help get to where you are, if you stop to do that, they will hold your coattails. They will keep you there until they can get up themselves. Well, you just stayed stagnant for so long. You got to stretch. You got to prepare yourself. You got to get ready to start moving again.
Absolutely.
And now they just walk past you.
Yeah.
It is a such thing for learn from me, but learn with me. Come on, follow. Keep up with me while I'm doing this, and just listen, watch, learn. I'm not going to lead you astray. And if you see me fuck up and you think this isn't the road I'm taking anymore, look over to your right. There is somebody right there still up with you, or somebody right behind you that you can teach how you got. It's all a learning pattern. Being able to progress forward is the only thing that we can do. And, going up is the only way, the only destination we can go. Because the moment we start going back, we start reliving things. We hit that circle point where now it's deja vu. I'm doing it all over again.
Yeah.
If you allow yourself to do that, that will be who you are. That's why
loop.
It's a loop. And that's why my life, and I mean, anybody will tell you, and I quote this regularly, I live my life with intention. Everything I have done, and any position I've kept myself in, any choice that I've done, it's been a calculated, process.
There's meaning.
There's always meaning, and there's always intention. I did this for a reason.
Absolutely.
I'm here for a reason.
It's not happenstance. It really happened for a reason.
Hell no. Yeah, exactly.
100%.
So choices matter. This life, we're in the era of choice now. your fucking choices are going to define who you are. Granted, they always have, but now we can see them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now I understand. Now I understand why the adults in our lives growing up went through the way that what they went through.
Absolutely.
You know, the way that they did. It's because they made that choice to do it.
Absolutely.
It's when the choice is taken away from you, that's when you got to speak up.
And when you see the consequences of some of those choices in some of our folks that have came before us, it's really sad to see, like, oh, I see the confinement that you put yourself in because of your actions.
Yeah.
And it's but thank you for showing me that, because now I know what freedom is. And I have that because I learned from you.
I now know what not to do.
I learned not to do that.
Yep.
I learned to move forward.
Come on.
And to be the person who is okay with being myself,
right,
and not be somebody who I wasn't trying to be. Like, for example, if you have a father who has this big name and you feel like you're a shadow,
yep,
the only way that you will not become a victim of that fucking shadow is if you create your own name.
Come on now.
I taught everybody that follows me that through my music that you can completely pivot your life 180.
Yep.
And you can turn yourself into the biggest projection that you could ever imagine yourself. Give yourself confidence. You could completely rewire life.
Yeah, man.
You could hack it.
Yeah.
I taught my followers, my listeners, to do this. And I've watched people who never had art inclinations, at least that I knew of,
right,
suddenly start painting, suddenly start singing, suddenly starting podcasts. When people see me go through the things that I go through, because I make things transparent online too, they feel the confidence to do these things, because they say, hey, he did A to get to B, now this is C, and he's alive.
Yep.
He risked it all, he's alive. And guess what? People still talk the same way that they do about him, whether it's good or bad. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to take a leap, because I don't know when the next pandemic might happen, or I don't know when the next real estate crash will happen. I'm going to do it right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend money on things that make me feel good right now. I'm going to buy Pro Tools. I'm going to get singing lessons. I'm going to start putting myself out there.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this too.
Yep.
When it comes to the music, we want to give light. We want to speak energy into people, breathe life into them.
Yep.
So I want to talk about, before we end this amazing podcast, man, it's been great. I'm gonna listen to this probably for the rest of my life. But what I want to say is, where are you going with this? You do things with meaning and intentions. What is the road map? Where are you taking them?
The destination used to be the stars. It used to be fame and recognition.
Yeah.
Now it's a little more profound than that now.
Real.
Yes. Now I'm leaving something behind. I'm giving you a blueprint. I'm teaching you which way I took. Teaching you that the way I sounded wasn't like anybody else. And that's because I didn't want to be anybody else. I'm going to show you how my life was, the choices I made in my life. I'm leaving behind a legacy. And
absolutely,
that's okay. And if it
legacy.
Come on now.
Okay.
Come on now.
Next album. Yeah,
come on now. Tory North featuring Legz.
Let's go.
Come on now. But it's to be able to not leave something behind.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave. I mean, I'm secured in my life.
Yeah.
Right. If I died right now,
be happy.
I'd be cool. Some people may not be okay with it, and that's I get it.
You've lived a life that you would live again.
That I don't regret. That if reincarnation is a thing, I want to come back and see what I left behind.
Absolutely.
I want to be able to be like, fuck, whoever did this did it right, not knowing it was a life I lived.
You'd rather be a spiritual guide.
Yeah, why not? You know, why not be somebody that somebody wants to be like? Why? And I understand in my big age, you know, I'm 34, about to be 35, that I'm not chasing the same things I was chasing before, and that's all right. And I'm showing people that when you do hit a certain point in your life, if you haven't gone to where you see your favorite people are, your favorite artists are, that doesn't mean that you're not held in the same regard as them.
Right.
I know for a fact when I drive around with my nephew, Theo, is this you? No, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's because he's listening for things.
Yeah.
He understands. I was like, what do you want to hear? Oh, one of your songs. That's okay. And they're still very young. But to be able to have that with him and with any of the kids in my life, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. Isn't
it amazing when you can see eye to eye?
Bro, it's amazing because the smartest people in the world sit in the car seat behind you.
Yeah, they understand things that we don't.
Yeah, 100%.
Or we forgot.
Or that we forgot. We don't know how to tap into that anymore, but they do. Because they're living it for themselves and they're seeing us do it. That's why sometimes I have to catch myself like, ooh, I'm in front of him. I can't do that. Yeah. I got to explain to him, hey, there's some things that I say that maybe you shouldn't hear, and I'm sorry that you do. You know, sometimes you got to understand that there's words that adults can say that little dudes like yourself, you can't say that, you know. But if you do say it, make sure you say it at home. Yeah. In a controlled area. We teach, of course, they're sponges, and we're just giving them the water to absorb, but we just got to be careful. Is this water? Or was that a pill bottle that had some liquid in there? Is that toxic or not? Did I just give my child, you know, the match in front of a tank of gasoline? What did I just do? So leaving that legacy behind from my nieces, my nephews, and anybody, really, anyone, is for them to see that I took the route that I took and I ended up in a pretty fucking good space, you know? Like, again, if I died now, bro, I'm not going to leave behind anybody with any bills. Yeah. I'm taken care of, which means my family going to be taken care of. Yeah. I'm good there. But I don't want to just leave behind heartbreak and sadness. I promise you.
Incomplete.
You won't be incomplete because I left you exactly what you needed to fill that little piece of your heart. I did not leave. You know, I've got hours and hours and hours of videos on social media that you can just watch, just hang out with me, watch what I was going through. I'm still there. And that's what I'm leaving behind.
That's amazing, man. When we're talking about the kids and how we're so like conscientious about what they consume as far as music, art, things of that nature.
Right.
I'll be driving around with my 7-year-old. My little girl named Silo, she'll be sitting right next to me, or she'll be sitting in the back seat because she's too young to be sitting in the passenger seat, right? But I'll play old music from the 90s, 2000s, and I want to see what hits, what catches with her, you know? And it's amazing because the most recent song that she's been into that I've showed her is Miss Jackson by Outkast.
Come on.
So she'll be singing like the little parts of the hook that are catchy, you know, I am for real, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Never meant to make it up. Shout out to Outkast, Big Andre 3000.
Come on now.
So it's amazing how when you're cooking, let's take it to food. When you're cooking a meal and you are conscientious of just how much bad is in it, like fats, you know, oils, things of that nature, because you're going to give it to your child.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, music becomes the same thing. Entertainment becomes the same thing because you'll be listening to a song you love and you're like, oh shit, I forgot that part's in the song. And then you'll be like, oh, maybe I can turn down the music a little bit. That's how I am with my daughter.
Definitely.
Because you don't want too much bad energy to be felt by your child or your nephew or your niece. So you want to be very careful about how you deal with what they are consuming. And what I realized is because our whole approach to parenting naturally, for the majority of us I'm seeing off of instinct, is how should I have been handled? How should I have been cared for?
Yeah.
How should somebody have been caring for the things that I consumed? How should people have been paying attention to me in the way that my mind works? To maybe see that I was going too close to certain edges. Yeah. Because I'm speaking about child development. Right? That is a different story than when you're in your teenage years or your early 20s and when people look at you like, man, you should just know better.
Yeah.
But what if you never had the chance to know better?
Part of me feels that's a cultural thing too.
100%.
You know, like...
Speak on it.
Come on. Like, we weren't given a... Again, bros, we weren't given a choice. You know, our parents weren't... I know my parents weren't. And that's why I respect a lot of parents nowadays. You know, I respect that, like you, like being very like, oh shit, let me, ooh. Yeah. Okay, that part's over. Got it. Ooh, let me just, you know, you're understanding that she is going to hear that and she could potentially react to that. That could stay. That little part that's melodic and it's very catchy that she remembers, she can easily remember a very heavy word and a very important point of a song. So you control it. We didn't have that control growing up. No. I didn't, at least, you know, and
everything was to the max.
It was 100% cranked up. I'm listening to, granted, I grew up with some great music. I grew up with like Zapp and Roger. I grew up with funk music. I grew up with 90s rap, you know, like street rap. I grew up with all of that, you know, and
to be fair, if you told me to not do something as a kid, I was gonna fucking do it anyways.
I was probably gonna do it either way, but when I'm given a choice, to be like, that's bad. And that actually goes to a point where I feel we are born bad.
Yeah.
Because we have to be taught to be good.
Yes.
We have to taught that something is wrong, something is right.
Chaos has to go into order.
Exactly. So we have to direct it. We have to have it directed for us. But the way we grew up, of course, the way we see it, at least the way I thought when I thought I was gonna, when I was gonna be a parent, like, oh no, my kid's not gonna ever be on their iPad all day, and they're gonna go outside and touch grass. And now when I think about it, I'm like, I was talking at a place that I was in. Mm-hmm. If you don't let your kid keep up with technology, they are going to fail. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Now I understand. I had to learn that, But when it came to why I had to learn that, it's because I had to see it. I had to witness it. With technology, we grew up with it. We are the digital era.
Absolutely.
We saw the rise and fall.
Children of the Matrix.
Come on now. We saw the rise and fall of the compact disc.
Absolutely.
Like, that's important, bro.
We literally went from VCRs to streaming.
Fast too. And it's almost like you look back at those times and you're like, was it really that far apart? It didn't feel that way. It's just, life was moving so fast for us that technology kind of kept us there. But in our family life, we, at least me, I wasn't given no esquina. I was given I wasn't given, look this way, something's about to happen. Fuck no.
Yeah.
It just happened.
That's why we eventually turned our mess into our message.
Come on now.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we grow up in a way where we're trained to look at things a certain way. But when we break free of those chains, we start to see the real generational curses that we have surrounding us. And then therefore we have a choice to either fix and rewire things or just use it as an excuse because that's you and you're just going to have to deal with it, vice versa. Mm-hmm. So all in all, to bring things down, oops. All in all, to bring things back full circle. Do you have a charger for Apple?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. All in all, to bring things full circle, I want you to kind of let people know about the next musical venture, the project that you're working on.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear about this before we sign off.
Definitely. So last year, I released 3 projects. I released my album Love Languages, which is by far favorite album I've ever released. The purpose behind it is still very real to me. So how I wrote it, who I wrote it, and what was written, all will sit with me forever. And then after that, M Status and I released our Got It Covered album, and that's just our... No, thank you. I appreciate it, though. But M Status released our project, Got It Covered, and it's just a bunch of remakes of old 90s songs, kind of touch and go with all kinds of different music. And then I released my Christmas song. Well, with this next project, I'm giving myself a little bit of time because I try to throw project after project after project, which I'm just like, fuck, I gotta let this resonate. Let me just let them sit with this one. The one I'm working on now is probably, if it gets released relatively soon, it's not gonna be until about December. I'm giving myself time not to hit a holiday. It's called Velvet and Vinyl.
Ooh, okay. So that's, you were asking on social media for, okay.
Yeah, and it was between Jukebox Dreams and Smoke Rings or something like that, and this one. And I was like, you know what? Velvet and Vinyl. Someone's like, it rolls off the tongue. Yeah. Vinyl and Velvet, Velvet and Vinyl. I was like, all right, cool.
Real contextual name.
Yeah, very much so. And the entire project is going to be based around music from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, which is music I grew up with. Granted, I grew up with the 70s, don't get me wrong, but I feel, based on my previous projects, I touched on the 80s, I touched on the 90s, and I am the 2000s.
You're going to tell a story through the music?
I'm definitely going to try to tell a story, but what I'm going to do is it's going to be a decade type song, each song. So the 40s, there's going to be 2 songs, and it's going to be relative specifically to this with updated margins of like newer instruments, the way music is now. We're going to have a modern, but we're definitely, it's not going to be a nod. It's going to be a reimagining. So
I do have a suggestion.
Go ahead, hit me.
For the same concept,
okay.
You're doing different songs from different eras, like almost like you're going from decade to decade to decade, right? Yep. Wouldn't it be awesome if you did like some Cloud Atlantis thing, where you're like pursuing this person from one life to the next, like you're chasing them down.
Oh, that hit. Oh, bro. Okay, you got to understand how hard that hits because there's a song.
Okay.
Me and my brother-in-law,
Let's
Andy,
go.
are going to be on called Left on Red Since 59.
Woo. Okay.
So that has the ability to
there you go.
kind of to do that.
Tie it together.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like that idea.
And there's a reason why things come the way that
is
they
100%.
do. Yeah.
But originally it's originally the album itself was going to happen because I wanted to do something like if you've ever seen the movie Casablanca.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a song called Casablanca, but I wanted it modern. I wanted some like dirty music, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like dance hall in a way mixed in with all of that. And the idea I had for it was great, and Status was just like, that's dope, but where else are you going with that? You know, as he goes, what you're talking about and what you want to do, it'll work, but maybe that can be a cool little single, but definitely not part of this project. And he goes, I got something for you. And he sent it to me, and he referenced a vocal, and the song in Casablanca is called As Time Goes By. So I was like, okay, and that's what is starting this, you know, this whole process is that one song. So the song As Time Goes By is going to be based around two people. So in the way that the format of the project is going to be, in the 40s, there's going to be one collab and one single, or one solo. In the 50s, one collab, one solo. 60s, one collab, one solo. It's going to be just like that, and it's going to kind of just the way you said that, it's going to follow a timeline. Because with Before Love Languages was Reminiscent, that one was an actual timeline of shit that was happening to get to the final song that rolls it all together. But Reminiscent it's in the name, it's just a memory. So the moment this is over, it's like waking up from a dream. You're starting back to track number 1, and it goes through the exact same thing. The circle never touches, it just keeps going. It's a spiral, and that's where deja vu comes from. So you got to live through it. So with that, with the idea for Velvet and Vinyl, with kind of I fuck with that heavy. That breaks the cycle, that breaks the circle that you're going to go in, but at the same time, it's no matter when the time was, I always chose you. Like I gravitated to you. You had something about you that even in a different lifetime,
through time and space.
Through time and space, yes, exactly.
Nothing could keep me from you.
The Velvet and Vinyl verse.
That's amazing.
Fuck yeah.
That's deep. That's music on another level. When you
Definitely.
become an artist who's able to bring the real elements of the world together on a record, like just the way that you craft a project where you sequence it a certain way.
Yeah.
It's so important when you're trying to tell a story that's going to be timeless.
Yeah.
Because like even like this concept that we're speaking about, that we're slowly kind of molding together here, like this mind child brain idea, or even like a concept album where you're in a dream world, right? And you're trying to like pursue this person through these dreams. There's always like a romantic angle, because I feel like pain of not knowing, the fear of not knowing if something could have been a real thing.
Yeah.
Or the fear of like, oh, I should have got back with that person. I should have really put those pieces back together because it wasn't all them.
Right.
Maybe it was some me. Like this whole like, that's what you're talking about when you're saying your niche, your lane. You have to hit something that's so heavy, so hardcore and direct that people can't deny it. Right? Eminem was the biggest rapper in the world because you could not deny him.
Yeah.
When he came in and he told you his relationship with his mom and why he was so extreme and so crazy, it all made sense.
Yeah, it did.
Because he was being so authentic.
Yep.
So I'm gonna be checking out. I'm gonna be looking for every project, man. I gotta actually listen to the back catalog that you have, because there's 3 or 4 records that I probably haven't heard, and then the new one with M Status, I heard a couple records from it.
Right.
So I want to go jump back into those things, but
Definitely.
but I want to let you know, man, you're doing something really cool, and I'm seeing the trajectory of what you're aiming for.
Appreciate it.
I want you to keep going, and I don't want you to stop. I want to be one of those dudes who maybe me and you we'll hit a tour.
Shit, I'm with it.
You know what I'm saying?
I got ins on gas, bro. We get it.
But we ain't gonna do it till we have it right. Because
for sure.
if we're lamping Big Willie style, that's how I envision it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll fly here, we'll fly there, we'll do that, because that's the way that we got the landscape going.
Yep.
So that's what I'm working towards as a legacy act myself, because I got so much fucking music out there, man. It really is just like me just narrowing down what I want to do for these last albums of my career.
Yeah.
Because who knows? It might be 5, it might be 10. I might go on a Gucci Mane streak and be 45 years old down the road dropping, 100 albums in a year or some shit,
That's true.
You never know, because rap is so crazy, because literally when you were 30 back in the day, that was like, okay, you're getting ready to quit, right? Well, now you see 40-year-old rappers who are barely getting on. Yep. And now you see 50-year-old rappers who are barely like getting that popularity they should have got back in the 30s. Yep. So it's like we're really going to have a time and day where 60, 70-year-old rappers are still selling out shows. When Jay-Z, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, all these guys, 50 Cent, when they reach, if they're still here because of their health or what have we, you're going to see Rolling Stone style shit.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the cool thing with this music, man.
And that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be heading in that direction too. Because as long as we have pioneers that are pushing forward, we know that there's a path.
Yeah.
And we can build on that. But that's what I want to teach artists is get away from ageism. Get away from being prejudiced of feeling like things are too old or too young, too new, too traditional. Like, get away from all that.
Eliminate the box that you're going to get put in.
If I had one final statement for this podcast, and I want your final statement too, I would say for the artist who wants to be taken serious in this world, what you need to do is completely destroy all boundaries that are around you and stop looking everywhere around you.
Yeah.
At the other artists who are trying to do what you're doing, because they're not going to do anything that you can't think of.
Right.
What you need to do is do things that they can't think of. Because when you start to create your own original sauce, everyone's going to be lining up so they can read the ingredients.
Yep.
And you know what's funny about misinterpretation? It's misinterpretation for a reason.
That's it, bro.
They ain't going to find out your sauce, and you're going to continue to sell it 3, 4, 5 times what it's worth 100%. At any given moment. So that's my message to the artists right there. Crave originality, crave authenticity, to the point of where when you see something fake and fabricated, it cringes the skin off of your fucking body. That's what Graveyard Shift is. That's what underground Northwest hip hop was.
Facts.
Right? So that's where I'm taking things. And people might say, oh, you're trying to be mainstream. I'm like, you're trying to label me mainstream because you heard something and you think you know something, but you don't know nothing.
Exactly.
And it's my job to teach your ass something.
Come on.
And that's
Come on.
that's how we kicking. That's how we cooking. But yes, final thoughts that you want to give to the audience.
To any artist that's coming up, to really honestly, fuck it, not just an artist, anybody who wants to be in anything.
Yep.
Question everything.
Yep.
You don't have to accept what's in front of you because it's in front of you. Just because you can't touch it does not mean it's beyond your reach.
Boom.
Sometimes you got to give yourself the most credit that you'll ever receive in your life. You got to break your own arm to wrap around the world to hug yourself sometimes.
Yep.
You got to be okay with it, and you got to question everything that's in front of you. Be love beyond expectation and love with no limits. That's it.
Absolutely. Everyone's going to deal with their own pain and suffering.
Yeah.
It's your job to make the pain and suffering align with what you want.
Yeah.
And the happiness that you are expecting from the path that you're going
That's
on.
fact.
And if people can realize that, then they can really start to mentally overcome some of these things that they feel that they can't break from. So you are listening to the Tory Talk Podcast, and I have my man Legz here. Where can they find you on social media, man?
You can find me on Instagram at Legz_ that one singer, and it's spelled Legz. You can find me on TikTok, Legz5349. Really, just type in Legz anywhere. You're probably going to bump into a profile of mine. Let's make sure it's me.
And that, with that being said, it's Tory Talk Podcast. Thank you for listening. And I got something coming for your ass soon. So stay tuned. One.